Hi everybody, let's continue our revision series. We are revising the topic from unit number 2, Computational Thinking and Programming Part 1. In today's video, we are gonna discuss flow of control. So without further delay, let's get started. Alright then, here is the outline of today's video. Different forms of conditional statement we are going to discuss, followed by that looping statements. How to come out of the loop in between? For that we are gonna use jump statements. And then we'll get an idea of special statement, that is nothing but pass. Okay then, let's continue with the conditional statement. Whenever you want to take decision and based on that you need to take some action, in that case we use conditional statement. Just like other languages, in Python also we have conditional statement if, and these are 4 different forms of if. Let's discuss them one by one. This is the first form, simple if. In that we will be writing if keyword followed by that condition. With the use of colon we are going to create one block, and in that block we are writing the statements. This statement will get evaluated, we will get true or false. Whenever we will get true, these statements are gonna execute. We are changing the flow of control, all the statements are not going to execute in sequence. Now the execution of the statements will depend on the evaluation of the condition. If it is true, then only it will get executed. Here is a program in which we are checking whether the number is even or odd. For that, here is the expression. We are taking out the remainder of a number and checking it with 0. It means we are checking whether the number is completely divisible by 2 or not. If it is yes, then the number is even. This block will get executed or not, but after that the program will continue with the next statement. You might have noticed with the simple if we can only write the true part, but what if the number is odd? Then for that we need to write one more if along with the condition. Now the remainder is not 0, then the number is odd. That problem we are gonna solve with the second form of if, that is if else. Look at the syntax. If this condition evaluates to true, the true part will get executed. Otherwise, we will come to the else part, and these are the statements when the condition will get evaluated to false. The same even odd program we can write with this form. If n modulus 2 is equals to 0, the number is even. Otherwise, the number is odd. Here else part is nothing but false part. If you want to practice programs on conditional statement, make sure to check out this video. Moving ahead to the third form of if, elif. When we have more conditions, then we go ahead with this form. Look at this example. If n is greater than 0, it means number is positive. Otherwise, we will come to the elif. With elif, we will be writing the another condition. If n is less than 0, number is negative. Finally, we will write the else part. In that case, the number is nothing but 0. Here is one more example in which we are calculating the result based on percentage. Do this program for practice. Here we are calculating BMI and then determining the nutritional status. You can practice some more programs of your choice. Alright, moving ahead to the third form of if, nested if. When we enclose one if inside another if, it is called as nested if. So we can enclose it in the if part, we can enclose it in a elif part, or we can enclose in a else part. Moreover, we can enclose in all the parts depending on the requirement. Here is one example of nested if. We are checking the nationality as Indian. If the person is Indian, we are asking age and checking age. So look at this if else. It is inside another if. So it's an example of nested if. After conditional statement, we are moving to the next important topic, looping. When we want to repeat something, we write that inside the loop. In Python, there are only 2 looping statements. Whereas in C, C++, Java, there are 3. Keep this in mind when we are dealing with loop. In Python, there are many collection data type. That's why loop will execute with the range function to generate sequence, or it will iterate over collection data type with the use of in operator. So first, let's check out how this loop will work with range function. We will discuss range function, but before that, let's check out the syntax of for. For variable in range. With the help of colon, we are creating the block and the statements of that block we are going to write. Look at the simple example. For n in range 1 to 5. This is the starting, this is the ending limit. We know that ending limit is exclusive. So the loop will execute from 1 to 4. And inside the block we are printing this variable n. It means the result will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Here is range function. It generates sequence of numbers. Look at the syntax. There are 3 parameters: lower limit, upper limit and step value. The lower limit and the step value is optional. The default value for the lower limit is 0 and the default value for step is 1. And one point about the upper limit, it is exclusive. Exclusive means we have to take one less than the mentioned limit. Hope you understood all the parameters. Let's check out some of the examples. Range of 5. Only one parameter is mentioned. It means it's a end limit. Starting will be 0 because it is not mentioned. It means the number will generate from 0 to 4 because end limit is exclusive. Look at the output. Range of 5 means exactly 0 to 5. Now in the next example we are going to check the step value. Starting is 0, ending is 10 and the step value is 2. Ending is 10 means it is 9 because the end limit is exclusive. So the number should generate from 0 to 9 with the step of 2. So the first element will be 0, the second will be 2 because it should get incremented by 2. The next element will be 4, then 6, then 8. After 8, 10 will come, but we know that the end limit is 9. That's why here is the output. In case of step, keep this in mind. If you are providing the step, you cannot skip the lower limit. Look at this example. I am thinking 10 is the end limit and 2 is my step. But Python will interpret it as a starting limit and the ending limit. Nothing will generate. Right, that's why when you want to write step, you must mention the start, whatever it is. Even step can be negative. In that case, the starting will be a bigger number and the end limit will be a smaller number. Try out different combinations. Here is one example to practice. Calculate sum of numbers. In this way, we understood how for loop works with the range function to generate sequence of numbers. Now we will be iterating over the collection. So here is the syntax for variable in sequence. Look at this simple example. This is a list of strings. We are iterating over it. For x in fruits, we are printing x. It means one by one we are printing these elements. In this way we can iterate over different collection. Here we are iterating over string, here on the tuple, here on the list. Don't worry, we will practice this in the coming videos. This is the unique feature of Python that we can write else part with the loop. But when this will get executed, when the for loop will get terminate for all the values normally, then this else part will get executed. Look at the simple example. We are iterating over the range of numbers from 1 to 5. We did not break the loop in between. Finally, the else part got executed. This will not work if you are using break in between. What is break? It's a jump statement. We will study in a while. Here is the second loop, while. While loop generally works based on the condition. If you are familiar with C, C++, Java, you will know the syntax of while. First we write the initialization statement. This is nothing but the starting value of the loop. Then we write the expression. It is nothing but condition with the while keyword. And inside the block we write the statements. Along with that we will write the update statement. So if you want to use the while loop, this is how it will look like. It is starting from 1 and going up to 5 and incrementing the value of I by 1. Generally we take one variable to execute the loop. It is called as counter variable. But in programming, while loop is used to create infinite loop. Look at this simple menu driven calculator. Here are total 5 choices. Based on the choice, the action will be taken. When the choice will be 5, we will come out of the loop with the use of break statement. This loop is getting executed infinitely. That's why we are coming out. What we have written? While true. True will be always true, right? That's why the body will get executed. but we have to come out of it based on certain condition. For that we are using this condition along with break. Here is one more program of palindrome number. Look at this condition, generally while used with the condition. Already we got to know about one jump statement, that is break. There is one more jump statement, continue. So let's check out. Whenever you want to terminate the loop in between, we use break statement. It will be used along with if. Look at this example. In this, I want to come out when the value of I will be 4. Whenever break encounters, the loop will terminate and the control will come out of the loop. That's why we are getting values only 1, 2, 3. Because when the value of I will be 4, break statement will get executed and it will take the control out of the loop. So the loop will not continue for the rest of the iterations. Here is an example of break along with while. Check out and practice some more examples. Break will terminate the loop immediately when it encounters. Then what continue will do? Continue will stop the current iteration and it will continue from the next iteration. What does it mean? Look at this example. When the value of I will be 3, we are writing continue. It means the rest of the statements will get skipped. It means for this specific iteration, the statements will not get executed and the loop will continue from the next iteration. That's why look at the output. We are not getting this value 3, but the 4 and 5 is getting displayed. So it stops the current iterations and continue with the next. Hope you understood this explanation. As we have nested if, we too have nested loop. Nested loop means inside one loop we are writing the another loop. How this will get executed? For every value of outer loop, first the inner loop will get executed for all the possible values. Look at this example. What are the possible values of I? It will be 1, 2 and 3. And what are the possible values of j? It is 1 and 2. Now for the first value of I, these two values will get executed. Alright then, let's check out the execution using dry run table. The first value of I will be 1. The control will come inside and the value of j will be 1, and in the next pass the value of j will be 2. I will be as it is 1. Now let's move ahead. Next time the value of I will be 2. Again the j will get executed for both its values, keeping 2 as constant. Then the value of I will become 3. Again j will be 1, 2 and I will be as it is 3. It means this loop will get executed 3 into 2 times. It is nothing but total 6 times. Hope you understood how the nested loop will execute. Here is one more statement called pass. It is called as empty statement. In some scenarios, based on syntax, you must write some statement there. But I don't want to write anything. In that case, you can write pass. Here is one random example. After writing if with some condition, I am writing pass because I don't know what to write here. But I cannot skip it also, otherwise I will get the error. So it's a null statement, or we can say empty statement, which works as a placeholder. Whenever you want, you can write down if you don't know what to write. Alright then, it's time to wind up today's video. In case of any doubt, drop them in the comments. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. In the next video, we will be studying string manipulation. So until next time, keep revising, keep practicing. I will see you in the next video.